Hello and welcome back to another Miata video. In this video we will be talking about Delrin Differential Bushings. If you look in my video here, last time I replaced my rear subframe, and since I did all the work of getting the diff out and everything, I just went ahead and swapped out the bushings and the diff as well, just so I don't have to do that job again. So this is just a quick video of what I had to do to get that to happen. So hope you enjoy. Alright, before I remove the diff, I'm going to drain all the fluid out of it. And I just wanted to show you how to do that. It's super easy. There's two bolts. This is the drain bolt. This is the fill bolt. You will always crack this one open first. And this goes the same for the transmission up front. There's a fill bolt and a drain bolt. The reason for that, as common sense will tell you, this bolt, just as any bolt, has a potential to seize and lock up and get rusted over or whatever. If you were to fill or remove this drain bolt first and all the fluid drains out, and then you can't get this one open to fill it back up with, now you can't even drive your car to a local mechanic or some shop to get the bolt off for you. You're gonna have to have it towed. So yeah, always open this one first, or at least crack it open, loosen it so you know that it's going to come off, and then remove this one last. I'm not sure why they did this, but this bolt is a 23 millimeter and this bottom bolt is a 24. So if you don't have those, you're going to have to go buy extra. Just a quick tip about changing your differential fluid. This is the drain bolt from the bottom, and if you look at the tip, it looks like it is a magnet. So what that does is that will collect all the metal shavings that occurs inside your differential. Mine was a little gunky, so I just cleaned it off. I just wiped it clean and then sprayed some carb cleaner on it just to clean all the metal shavings off of that tip there. So just a reminder that don't just kind of toss this to the side and forget about it. Clean it as best you can when you do a drain and fill of your differential. So I'm having the hardest time getting this left axle out. I was using the two screwdriver technique to pry them open, and as you can see, I broke the tip off of this one. Got a small pry bar here. Can't seem to get that to work either. so just for the sake of time of, you know, taking more days off and working on this and whatnot, these are the original bushings in the differential. They're, you know, 20 years old, so they're, you know, worn out. What I'm going to do is replace these with new Delrin bushings from GarageStar. I will put a link below. I've been hammering and chiseling away at this for a while now, and it's not budging. I don't have a torch to torch them out, so I am going to go to plan B and drill out the rubber and then pry away the metal sleeve from inside. As you can see over here, got to do the same thing to this one. I have a seized up axle rod here. I could not get it out of the diff. I got everything else disconnected, but I could not get that axle out. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm just going to leave it in there, put it on the new subframe, and call it a day. Alright, so I got the differential bushing drilled out. I've been prying away at this metal collar for a while, and it is still just not budging. So I'm gonna keep working on it. By the way, this axle is still seized onto the diff. I just remembered this is the actual side of the impact. When I wrecked the car, and there's a likelihood it just shoved it, you know, on impact, it shoved it into the differential and just kind of got it in there real good. So that may be why I can't get it off. Alright, so I got the first bushing out. I'm working on the second one here. Second one seems to be doing a little bit better. You see I've pried a metal piece down to where I can hammer on it. I've been using this screwdriver. It's a big, you know, 8-inch screwdriver, and that does a lot of the damage as far as getting it kind of bent down and prying it. But what I've found as a secret weapon is this little guy. It's a small, thin, flathead screwdriver, and I'm not using to pry on it. If you really pry on it, you'll probably snap it in half because it's so small. But what you do is you tap down on there, and it forms a wedge, and it kind of wedges this between the collar and the diff housing here. So that kind of pushes it apart. Once I was able to hammer it down in there on this side, it just kind of fell apart. Another trick that I did is I used my Sawzall to cut a couple more slits. I put another slit here and a slit here. There's one that comes from the factory here and over here, but I don't know how deep it is or if it's fully connected or not, but it looks like a little slit that comes from the factory. Wasn't having much luck prying on it though, so I reinforced that slit by using the Sawzall. Made another slit here to try to pry a smaller piece out, because if you can just get a small piece out, the rest will, you know, fall out. So that's how I'm doing this. Alright, so I finally got these Delrin bushings inserted. It took me a while just to hammer these in. I thought that was going to be the easy part. That was pretty difficult. I think it's just because I don't have the right tools. I started off with my rubber mallet, and that got it in about halfway. And I was about breaking my back trying to get them hammered in. So you can see it helps to put wood blocks underneath to support the frame while you're hammering in. I finally had to resort to just your average household hammer. You can maybe see the hammer marks from the hammer. The rubber mallet didn't do that, but the hammer definitely marred it. But this is on the top side. It's not like anyone's ever gonna see it. I was just more worried that it was gonna crack the bushing in half by you know, adding so much force to it. I would recommend, if you're gonna do this job, to get like a heavier sledgehammer, like a maybe one as big as this little rubber mallet, but a heavier head, maybe a metal head that will, you know, with the diameter of about that much, just to hit it in the center. But with a heavier head, I think it'll push it down in there a lot easier. This is just too light, and of course it's rubber, so it bounces. The hammer did a much better job, but as you can see, the surface area isn't as big, so you gotta hit it more all around just to make sure it goes in even. So it's just a lot more work. I've got the new subframe installed. I've got the differential also mounted to it. Power plant frame is up. I just need to torque down the settings, you know, the bolts on the power plant frame. So now it's time to refill the differential fluid, and what I'm using today is some synthetic gear oil 75W90. This is what's been recommended on all forums to use. It's the best. It takes 1 quart. So what I'm going to use is a pump. You can buy this at any auto store. You screw this on and pump it into the fill hole until you see some fluid kind of oozing out a little bit. So that's what we're going to do now. So there you have it. The diff is back in the car, and it does feel a little bit stiffer on the back end of the car, especially when you're, you know, rowing through the gears. It's not a dramatic feel. I don't feel a lot of harshness that some people talk about when they you know, upgrade their differential bushings. I don't really feel any extra vibrations or hear any additional noise. It was very slight change. It just does feel a little bit crisper, I guess. Overall, for, you know, 50 or 60 bucks, however much they cost, it's a pretty good mod to do. Hardest part's just, you know, getting the bushings in and out, the old ones rather. They were pretty hard to get out. But, you know, if you have your diff out anyways and you're working on your car, why not? It's worth the money and effort that you put into it, and it's something that I don't have to do again unless I decide to swap out my diff with a Torsen, which may happen. I would say go for it. So if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. and subscribe. I'll be making a lot more content, and you'll be the first to be notified when it's out there. See you later. Bye.